Hi, I'm attorney Sherry Stinson. Today, I want to talk to you about the holidays and timing important conversations for you and your family. Now, as an estate planning attorney with over 20 years of experience, one of the things that I know is that holiday gatherings can serve as a really important and crucial time to have hard conversations. So, I'd like to share with you why timing about estate planning conversations is really crucial. During the holidays, we have three key advantages. One key advantage is that in an increasingly digital world where everything is done by Zoom or FaceTime, we are physically together during the holidays. Everyone is face to face, they're having a good time, they're having good conversations. And this interaction is really, really valuable for those complex discussions that you want to have. Number two, during the holidays, people are naturally reflective. They're thinking about their values, their family traditions, and they're thinking about the future. And this mindset is really important because it makes it so much easier to have those really important conversations without it feeling forced or even morbid. The third thing is you have multiple generations together. And so when you have grandma and grandpa and the grandkids, they're thinking about things that are important to them, their wishes, their responsibilities, maybe even expectations about how everyone will act. There may be even sharing expectations about how everyone will act towards grandma or towards grandpa. These conversations during the holidays need to cover several crucial things. Number one, they need to talk about what do you want to happen when you die. These might be things like a will or a trust. It can also really cover some important incapacity conversations. Things like who do you want to manage your money if you can't? Or who do you want to make medical decisions if you can't? I can tell you that one of the biggest mistakes I see is families waiting too long to have these really, really important conversations. And I just want to let you know there really is no perfect moment. The best moment is before anything really happens. That's when you want to have these conversations. So I want you to consider something. Every year, countless families face unnecessary and expensive legal complications because the conversations that needed to happen never happened. So I want you to look at the holidays as a natural opening to prevent these sorts of issues. In my next segment, we'll talk about exactly how to start these conversations productively and respectively. Remember, the goal isn't to finalize every detail during the holidays. The goal is to start a thoughtful conversation that leads to good estate planning. So, before we continue, I want you to take a moment to think about your own family dynamics, your needs, your wants. Who needs to be part of the conversations? What concerns might they have? And those are the things that we'll talk about in the next video. So, let's talk about the 12 rights that you can lose without proper estate planning. Florida's guardianship system is designed to protect vulnerable adults, but it carries significant risks that demand your attention. I don't want to be depressing about this, but when the court appoints a guardian, you lose fundamental rights. Things like the ability to manage your money, determine where you live, even who you can visit with. Those friends that you might go out to have lunch with, you might not be able to have lunch with them anymore. The statistics are concerning. There are over 50,000 people under guardianship in Florida, with guardians managing billions of dollars. You may have even seen some of the headlines, guardians acting improperly or stealing from their wards. Our system itself creates a structure of vulnerability because once appointed, these guardians have tremendous power. And while the courts are overlooking and overseeing the guardians, the courts are, in fact, overwhelmed. And many times, unfortunately, by the time the abuse is discovered, your money is gone. So, these conversations with your family are really, really important to have. And you really need to think about choosing the proper people as well, because even well-meaning family guardians may lack the expertise to figure out how do we navigate complex medical and legal decisions. So, not only do you want to have these conversations, but you want to think about the most appropriate people to act on your behalf. Remember, prevention is critical. So, your less restrictive alternatives, like a power of attorney or a healthcare surrogate, can really go a long way to make sure that you're not under control of a court who doesn't know you. Remember, as we get older, we are more vulnerable. Guardianship really needs to be the last resort, not the first option. Once those rights are gone, your rights that we only see removed from criminals, they're extraordinarily difficult to restore. So, in the next segment, we're going to talk about steps that you can take to make sure you don't become a ward of the state. Now, when it comes to having these important estate planning conversations, you may be wondering, when do I have these? Well, let me tell you, timing is everything. So, for example, if your Uncle Ted has had a little too much to drink and he's ranting about the latest election, it's not a good time to bring up grandma's estate planning. But if you're, let's say, looking through a family photo album and you're reminiscing on good times, or maybe you've been out for a walk and everybody is fresh and they're excited, you really want to look for peaceful times to have these conversations. It's generally not a good idea to have these conversations if, let's say, the turkey is burning in the oven, or maybe a la National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation, Clark can't get those lights to light up. If people are rushing, or the extended family is there, or we can't find a place to sleep, you should avoid these conversations then. And remember, you always want to approach this with a really respectful tone. This isn't about what you're going to get or who's going to be in charge. This is really about making sure that your loved ones are taken care of when it matters the most. The key to having a really good conversation is a private moment when everyone is calm and receptive. You want to keep it casual, keep it conversational. Remember, this isn't a one-time conversation. This isn't one and done. It's the start of an ongoing and really important conversation with a focus on making sure that people are taken care of when they need it the most. So, if you're wondering how to start, professional guidance is really key. Maybe start looking for attorneys. You can talk to your parents about that. Talk to your loved ones. Again, it's not a one-time conversation. This is a conversation that needs care and guidance, and that's what attorneys can help you do. Now that we've covered all of that, let's talk about some natural conversation starters. These conversations don't have to be awkward. Now, I'm not saying you won't feel scared or vulnerable or maybe a little worried about having these conversations. I mean, after all, who really wants to think about people dying or getting sick? So let me give you some tips that I think will help you. The first one is through family stories. You know, if mom or dad are getting out that beautiful china set, that china is beautiful. What's the history? Why is it important to our family? Or, you know, if you're in your dad's office, Dad, I'd love to know the story about why you started that business. Or tell me the story behind this photo. Or maybe even just reminiscing. Hey, do you remember when we found grandma's handwritten recipes? My grandma's chicken dumplings are the best. You could also approach this through shared experiences. You know, a lot of people, they go home and they're in a family home that's been in that home for generations. Maybe asking mom or dad, what do you envision for the future of this home? Or talking about those holiday traditions. How do we keep those going? I know for my own family, we have holiday traditions that we look forward to every year. And I find during those times that everybody is more relaxed and they're more open. Maybe even family photos. Now, family photos can get a little bit tricky, especially nowadays when everything is on our phones, right? But if your mom or dad or loved one, they have those family albums, they have those scrapbooks, ask them, have you thought about preserving them? This is a good way to approach that too. Also, just appreciative inquiry. I know I have family members who are terminally ill, and it's really hard to have those conversations. And so, one of the techniques I used recently was, what values do you hope that your grandkids remember? Or what's most important to you? Or what are you most proud of? Or what's a lesson that you want to pass down? Now, remember, these are ongoing conversations. So while this is a good start, it's not going to end here. And so when you're thinking about starting these conversations, I also want you to think about how to continue them so that we can get to a really positive place. And my last tip for this is, remember, this isn't about getting something. This really doesn't come down to the money or who's going to get what. This is really about being thoughtful so that if those really tough times happen for you and your family, somebody isn't put off by, hey, Jane was talking about how much money is she going to get from mom or dad, and she's going to use that money to replace something in her house. Remember, you love your family and you have something to give them. And so these conversations are a gift that you can give to them that will help them plan for their future. And if you did find this video helpful, I want you to give us a call or visit our website today. I'm Sherry Stinson, and I'm your Palm Harbor estate planning attorney who is on a mission to help as many people as we possibly can avoid the consequences of bad or no estate planning. Give us a call. We look forward to hearing from you.